So thank you all for attending the first meeting of the 3C Community Engagement and Grants Committee. So to kick off the first session of this and to provide information to the community on how the grants process works and what we're providing as forms and how to get us this information that's required to get a grant. Here we go. So I will attempt to share my screen and the presentation I've put together, outlining some highlights here. I did this right the other night and I was very proud of myself. Okay. All right. Can you guys see this?
Yes.
PDF? And none of the background applications I've got?
Yep. Just the PDF.
All right. So these are all outlined on 3C website under the grants tab, which is actually conveniently located. Fun fact. So the key facts are that grants can be issued, but to stimulate activities that improve the welfare of residents and those that live and work in the 3C community. And to provide funds for projects where other sources are insufficient. The grants may be awarded to any nonprofit organization working within the boundaries of 3C. It doesn't seem like it is must have, but it would be nice to have, should have, or be able to seek additional sources of funds from other organizations. And this gets tricky here, and I want to check on this bit about programs funded by the DC government, because on the actual application that OANC provided, there's like a question that's like, do you receive funds from the DC government? Yes, no. If yes, how much from who? So I don't quite get the correlation of how it's saying no here. And these are our guidelines, Bo, by the way, for your committee meeting, and whether or not they match up to whatever's currently out there in DC law, if that was updated and just not updated to our website. So we have some digging to do into that to clarify. Grants may not be given for anything which the commission cannot itself expend funds, including food, entertaining, for political purposes, and things that are non-public, obviously. The grants committee determines the compliance with the guidelines based on the application and the form and all of the materials that are provided to us, and will advise the commission when the public presentation is made, which I'm assuming we can do the public presentations at these committee meetings moving forward. So we'll just make sure all of the commissioners are aware of that, so that at the subsequent regular public meeting of ANC 3C, we would be able to take the vote on the grant application and make the award and make this a bit more efficient, right? So the form that I have set up in the Google Forms format includes all of this information that we're required to provide, both in our ANC 3C rules and also the rules of DC law and the guidance of OANC. The other thing that our colleagues on 1C wanted to point out is we should run everything by OANC first before we start going down this whole process. If it's something they have guidance on what can and cannot be approved, and all of that. So the reporting, we require that a report be submitted within 60 days of when the check was written, and that includes the supporting documentation of all of the receipts for what the money was spent on, and any unexpended funds must be returned to us. Examples of grants which are allowed. For example, and these are just examples, parent and teacher association funds, computer literacy programs, musical instruction programs, local cultural education field trips, I know there's one that 1C is actively reviewing with Jubilee House, but it's specific to like funding a program. So I think that that's where that DC government fund stuff might, be in play there. Neighborhood civic associations for projects, activities of a public nature that benefit our area. Examples of which grants are prohibited, obviously non-public purposes or where services are provided for personal gain. Obviously, we just went over the political support, our position taken by the commission, not to a district agency, which would be weird, and not to purchase food, entertainment, and not made to an individual. Okay, so those are the basics of the rules there. Can you
Commissioner
see?
Pagets,
Yes.
did you want questions at the end, or are you okay with questions in the middle?
Questions in the middle are fine.
So it talked about grants to civic associations. Does that mean we could also, for example, give a grant to a neighborhood association such as the Cleveland Park Smart Growth or the Cleveland Park Historical Society that are kind of themed community associations type things?
So I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, are they both 501Cs or no?
Let's assume they are. So let's assume.
So obviously we would run this by OANC.
Okay, no, we don't need to discuss. I just didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, if it's specific to like an event or a program that they're putting on, I think yes, if we could nail down and correctly answer what's being asked for in this form. So, and tick the boxes to qualify, right?
So, right. So I'm thinking, let's say there was, the Historical Society is undertaking a study of sort of the history of racism in the neighborhood, I think, and the history of like how that's happened. I know Cleveland Park Smart Growth has done some stuff on that. So if, for example, we wanted to fund either of those community groups to help work on something like that kind of brings out the racist history of Cleveland Park, I guess it's in the public good. It's not really an event and it's not being spent on food or anything else. That could happen, right?
I mean, I think that qualifies under bullet point 1 here under local cultural educational field trip, right?
Maybe.
Because it's like that specific bit of their programming and not like the full, like we can't just give them a check to run their organization and like whatever.
But if they provide, for example, an interactive map of all the historical racial covenants, for example, in the area, or they provide like, a history of displacement from Cleveland Park Cleveland Park and Northwest DC of all the Black residents that used to live here. Like, I feel like that would be a very good output produced from that.
Yeah, I agree. And I know the mapping segregation project is held up because they're being charged for the deeds and to pull them from the government system. Okay. So like, I kind of have a question out there to them about like, can this be used to help the mapping segregation? But it's like technically funding a DC agency because the DC agency is charging the nonprofit to do the research, right? So that's.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to take us on a tangent.
But... No, that's fine. But that's a good question because I know there's a number of organizations in the neighborhood that are engaged in that. So cool. Okay, so here's the grant application form, which basically, ticks all the boxes that we just went over with our guidelines, and just asking for elaboration. Some of the questions are a little duplicative in my opinion, but there's also, requirements of attaching line item budgets. So there's the ability to upload those documents to the form, which is great. So we're getting like a complete package sent to us to review in this forum and with the other commissioners. This also, you know, this is where these tick boxes are coming in with the receiving the funds from the DC government. And then if you've ever received a grant from the ANC before, I think, did we officially or unofficially waive the one-time grant requirement? Or was that down from on high?
I think that was down from on high. I think that
Okay.
from Office of ANCs.
Okay, cool. Are we still operating under those guidelines? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't know. Oh, we should reach out and ask because I know there were 2 COVID emergency orders going on that were sort of complementary, and I think they've diverged in timing.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm hoping to come up with a list of questions that we can just send in one bulk to yeah, get answers there.
Also, if I don't know if we plan on, and Commissioner Packets, you might have already done this, but like, I think for whatever form we have, it would be nice if it also automatically fills a resolution, because you wrote the last resolution that we needed to fund. So that way we're not rewriting resolutions every time and you have all the information right there and it's just a copy paste type thing, right? So I think that would be useful for all of us.
Yeah, I like leveling it up that way, like kind of just automate what's being populated in some of these questions and push it out.
If you do this in a Google form, I think I might even be able to automate just them filling it out and us in a Word document, a Google Doc showing up with everything in there.
Oh yeah, totally. I figured out how to do this with Microsoft programs. Let's try it with the Google platform now.
Microsoft is fine. I think we can do something with that too. But either way, I mean, I think that would be very useful for us. It would just expedite everything. That way we're not like wordsmithing and stuff and it's a standard thing.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. Thank you. Okay, so can we now, are there any more questions, by the way, on this?
Yeah, well, I had one just about the timing. You mentioned like awarding like 1 grant per organization, but is there a time limit when that resets? Like, is that 1 grant annually or is it 1 grant ever?
I'm looking at the rules now on our website and trying to figure out where I saw that detail.
If there is, we should just change it. It should just be 1.
Yeah, we could change the rule.
Cool.
Right, Bo? That's your committee.
I'm looking at the bylaws right now. I don't.
Bo is also the only lawyer here, so he will actually tell us the right answer instead of
I'm
my
not
taken.
working as a lawyer right now. But yeah, we don't seem to have operating rules, which has been an issue for a while, right? But we have our bylaws, and grants are not mentioned in our bylaws. We could put something in our bylaws about that. We've heard rumor that we have rules from 25 years ago or so, but only maybe one of the commissioners has seen them. So
it says under number 4 of our grants guidelines, it says grants are usually given on a one-time only basis. So that's not hard and fast. So there's that. So I guess at our discretion. Okay.
Or by the way, at the bottom, I don't know if you noticed, our grant guidelines were attested by Phil Mendelson in 1982.
Yes.
40 years ago.
Meeting's being recorded, right? What an evil attester.
Wow.
I'll be sure to include that in the notes I circulate. So, and obviously we need to check with where we can put this on our website. or how? How do you guys want to approach that? Because right now there's a link there that just says contact your commissioner and takes you to the page that's the about us with our information.
I feel like it's a good idea to definitely contact the commissioner. Like we don't, but I also think it's a good idea to put the application online. Like I think what should happen is hopefully somewhat relatively automatically is within the grant form, it lists the commissioner's name and email address. And then as soon as a grant is submitted, it goes to, and we can decide if we want it to go to the entire commission. Because there's certain commissioners that don't ever check their emails, and then we kind of lose that. Or if it goes to the specific commissioner, and then that would make sense, and then people can follow up, and we say be sure to follow up with your commissioner that you submitted this application.
I think it should go to all at anc3c.org, right?
I agree. Yeah.
Because we've got at least one commissioner just resigned, and if somebody uses their 3C account, they're never going to reach Nancy.
The only other thing is we don't want, and I mean this is maybe a problem that won't even happen. We don't want just people submitting stuff, right? Like every day someone submits an application that's not even relevant. So there needs to be some filter. I don't know what that would be. I mean, maybe in the form. I don't know.
I mean, the other thing is I can see who it is or where the relevant commissioner and make sure they're aware of it. And it's just coming to me and not spamming you guys.
It's still spamming you. I mean, maybe we can start with all at ANC3C, and then we can see if it gets too much, then we can create a filter. I feel like I'm thinking about a problem that's not even happening.
Fair.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, the biggest challenge was just knowing what we would even need to gather up, like what information we would need to gather up. So I love the idea of having the application on the site paired with like a suggestion to reach out before like submitting the application.
So let me see if I can send you guys a link to this real quick. This is the beta version. And it would be good to get your feedback on like what I've included in that introduction too, because right now it's just like the guidelines. I can link it, I can add, contact your commissioner, click here. Although the map link is broken on our website, so figure that out. Is that working for you guys? I don't know.
Yeah, the link works. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think it would help to have a little bit of a preamble.
Okay.
And maybe, I think you do this where it kind of, I'm going to enter my email and do a fake one, right?
Yeah.
Just going through the initial parts that are the guidelines that are sort of required, and having them as questions. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I had to use the form provided by OANC. Yeah. That's like answering these questions in their format because that's required by that.
Great. Okay, cool. I think we're on the same page. Sorry.
Yeah. I just think this is way more friendly than like a barely fillable PDF. So. And then I also have it set to send the recipient a receipt too of all of what they submitted so that they have it for their records.
I think if it's possible to have like a list of the questions, all of them together in one place, aside from the Google form, especially for folks who are collaborating on filling it out, it's helpful to be able to see everything all at once too.
Okay, yeah. So maybe we'll also include like a downloadable, like fixed form so that, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, we could have a downloadable PDF and also have the questions listed on our site and linked in the form. Thanks, Julianne.
And then, I mean, once we get all this stuff up on the site, like have all the information there, like how are we getting people there is the other thing I'm looking for ideas and input on. It's like, I've just been emailing associations and organizations that I'm aware of in the neighborhood that might be interested in applying for a grant, but like there's a wider audience out there that like I can't be aware of everyone and everything. I know I don't know how many followers we have on our Twitter or who controls that, or like is this up to each individual commissioner to do their own outreach, or like is that I don't know what to do.
If you have a format for outreach, I'm happy to kind of tweet it and stuff like that. And I mean, put it on the Cleveland Park listserv.
Yeah. I wish we had like well, I don't want to do newsletter, so I'm not suggesting that. But like this is, I guess, an annoying thing that's very inconsistent from all of the commissions throughout the district is like, we don't all have like access to tools that are consistent where people can like sign up to subscribe to get this information, you know?
Well, the other thing we could do is our administrator posts all meeting announcements on a set of listserv, and apparently it satisfies the notice requirement for ANC, and so you could include that. You could include that as an announcement when the agenda is posted.
Okay. True.
Right, Bo? Is that okay?
Sorry, I'm trying to poke holes in the form.
There we go.
Yeah, if you want to repeat the question, I'll try to give an answer. You caught me not paying attention.
That's okay. So Janelle said that she wants to like spread the news far and wide that there's a grants committee and here's a grant application and you can submit one. We're figuring out ways to propagate the information. And I said, well, we post notice of our meetings on several listservs and stuff, and apparently it satisfies the notice requirement for whatever the notice requirement is legally. So I was thinking within that agenda, we could post an announcement that here's a grant and stuff. And then that way it automatically goes to every listserv we post our meeting.
Yeah, I mean, unless there's I think we had this last time, the timeliness issue for Ward 3 mutual aid, like we run into the issue of like if somebody's asking for a grant for an event that is, let's say, in March, the grants committee would have to meet after, like, because the grants committee would have to meet after the notice came out.
Yeah,
but then the full commission would have to vote on the grant.
I think that's separate. That's like,
Yeah.
you know, if we're considering grants, this is more just to get the word out that there's that if anyone is interested, like over the next year.
Yeah, like a little blurb at the bottom of our announcements every month.
Yep.
Like we should probably do that for all the committees. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that's a good idea.
I'd love to see the blur for the rules committee. We spent half an hour reading all the old rules.
Just because you don't like it doesn't mean we didn't need to do it.
Well, I kind of wanted to keep this short, but I appreciate like the feedback. Do you guys have anything else for this session of it?
I mean, I kind of.
Go ahead, Swally.
No, please go ahead. I've been talking too much.
Janelle, are you going to have other people from the community on this committee? Does that make sense? Have you thought about it? And
yeah, I think so. I hope so. It would be good to. But I just wanted to get it out there and started first.
That's a good idea. See how resounding the interest is first.
Yeah. And I know there are a lot of conflicting events this evening, which is, you know, fine. But yeah, I have a pretty solid list of folks that I've been individually reaching out to that I know are running things. So hopefully we can get some of them to come often, because I think there's a lot of really good ideas out there.
Cool.
I mean, if we're all here, I thought we could also discuss some things of what kind of, you know, I mean, Janelle, you said that like, okay, we're going to send it out to everyone, but maybe we can ask specific people to apply, right? Like if we as an ANC want to see certain things happen in the neighborhood, I mean, when I was walking over here, I thought, let's just shut down Connecticut Avenue and Wisconsin Avenue and Macomb Street in between, and then like figure out how, maybe have like a big Saturday party or something.
So
But that might not be possible, right?
it is.
It
because
is.
I
Who do you
think
pay?
I think it's 1C that does issue grant to the Porch Fest over there that happens in Adams Morgan.
Oh. So we just need a community group that can organize it.
Yeah. But like we couldn't pay for like a food and beverage stand. Like, yeah.
No, but pay for other stuff,
Yeah, totally. That are needed to like even, well, we can use somebody's printer to print some flyers since I know some folks with that albatross. But yeah, I'll look into what exactly they did fund for that, but it would be great to do a Cleveland Park, Woodley Park.
Yeah.
I love
think it'd be,
Oh my God, it was so much fun.
Yeah, that would be really fun.
all right, we're doing this. I feel like we have unanimous, right? Bo, you would go for that too?
Don't forget, we got to include Cathedral Heights and McLean Gardens.
Yeah. That's why I said Macomb all the way to Wisconsin. So
Oh, okay. Yeah.
yeah, we shut down Wisconsin as well.
Yeah. Let's do it.
You're just excited about shutting down the streets to car and opening it up to people.
Bring everyone here, have a party.
But yeah, and this is something that a number of those organizations that we mentioned could collaborate on together. So, yeah.
I feel like
Exactly.
we should have, I feel like we should have a proactive ANC that kind of encourages this stuff rather than like just stays and waits to block housing,
Yeah. No, that's the point of the committee.
Mhm.
If you engage with the community, it also becomes safer too.
Mhm.
So, and that's what these things are meant to gin up and generate. So I like it. It would be fun for all the zoo tourists too, make it a destination. Like kind of what was happening in the service lane with the
parking day?
Oh, parking day is a different thing. That's funded by DDOT.
The outdoor market?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool.
The Femme Fatale folks that had like the DJ out there and stuff.
Yeah.
People love that. They're so sad that that pop-up's gone now.
But they were scheduled to leave, right? Christmas Eve, I think.
I think they were actually scheduled to leave in September and extended it.
Oh, okay. Well, I hope, did they land? I assume they landed another spot then.
I think so, yeah.
Hopefully they'll do more business there.
We'll hope they come back at some point.
Yes.
Yes. I don't have any other ideas now, but I'm definitely, looking at other agencies and what they're putting out there in their channels, especially the ones that have fairly active committees. So I'll be able to, hopefully come to the table with some things we can crib from other places and just do it better because, why not?
Yeah. Cool.
But I still want a Porch Fest. Like, that would be awesome.
Historic District Porch Fest?
No, we're not calling it that. Just a Porch Fest. And we have to find a way people in apartments can participate too, so.
I have a courtyard.
That's great.
I'll offer that up. And I know actually a bunch of my neighboring large multifamily buildings have like regular like musical entertainment, like jazz out there and stuff. And I never get the complaints about the noise, so it's fantastic. People actually like it.
Yeah, I had a neighbor who would sing every Friday for almost 2 years since the pandemic. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've been invited to that one.
Yeah. I have a question kind of specific to mutual aid, but curious if y'all have thoughts on it. So at the time that we applied for both of our grants, I think that this was at the time that the city had made the exception to the can't provide food rule. And we're thinking about like making some like shifts to also like focus on doing housing support and other different types of ways that we can like expand our advocacy work. I'm wondering if y'all have heard about, if first, I guess, like if y'all have thoughts on what it might look like for us to be applying for things like supporting people with paying rent or like tackling maintenance issues that they have within their places. And then also, if you've heard about other mutual aid networks receiving ANC funds since that like food restriction has been put back in place, because as far as I know, I've heard a lot less chatter about ANC support since that food thing went back into place.
So I was reading this, Suze, like food as in like, I cannot fund, you know, mini sandwiches at like an event. I didn't know that they were interpreting it as like, could not fund your organization to provide must have food,
I
not
see.
nice to have food.
Yeah, so like pizza party versus groceries for a family.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know if that's what you guys are interpreting that to mean too.
I think that's what I'm hearing from folks in other wards. I know Ward 3, we haven't been applying to as many ANC grants in general, but I think other wards have hit some walls with that.
Yeah. With regards to the rental assistance, I think because there's district funds available to provide that to folks. Now we can have a whole nother meeting on how difficult they are for folks to apply to, which I think Bo can speak. He tried to help, and it was a challenge. So I think that we can't fund, and also I think our grants are limited to like $5,000 in issuance. So that's like not that much help. Regarding like funding something like, you know, going and fixing people's homes, like if there's a list of tools y'all need to buy, like, yes. And materials, like anything that's that kind of tangible stuff, yes. And
That's
even, you know, if you have the plan of like what you did with the receipts and like this helped how many people to do this, that, and the other thing, that satisfied, you know, the rules that we're we're required to abide by.
That's amazing. Cool. Yeah, we've had some like recently a couple of barriers to helping folks move, like just needing to pay the cost of like renting a U-Haul. Like I'm down to think about how we can get creative to meet those needs too.
And again, like let's put the ideas in front of OAC, because there's probably other mutual aid organizations out there that have, you know, put this in front of them before too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or they can tell us you can't do this, but over here they're able to do that. So
cool. That's helpful.
cool. But yes, I like this idea. And then are you getting like a little army of volunteers to sign up too?
Oh yeah.
Because you already have a pretty big network of folks that are helping deliver food, right?
We do. Yeah, we have a large network in general. And we've been shifting from like food or grocery deliveries to providing gift cards for folks to shop for themselves, which has made it, it's opened up more time for other types of organizing. So now housing has been like a big internal push and like something that we're hoping to like get deeper into, especially like building our hopes for it this spring and then starting to shift into that this summer too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I've been talking to the Woodley House folks a lot too. They couldn't make this
They're
meeting
awesome.
tonight. Yeah, they're great organization. And yeah.
Have y'all been connected to the Ward 3 Housing Justice Group at all?
I believe Janelle's tried to.
I'm curious about how that's gone.
They wouldn't, I think I'm not accepted to the group.
In the group, is that right?
So I have strong opinions on what their main initiative was about the city purchasing the Wardman property. I didn't think that's the best use of city funds to take that on, and because that amount of money could go help many more people than like, let's just do this one mega project, right? And just, yeah. So they didn't like that I wasn't fully on board with that idea.
I see.
Yes. So
They spoke, and I don't remember if it was Ward 3 Housing Justice or the Wardman strategy team, but they spoke at they presented at our ANC, at one of our ANC meetings last year at some point, about the Wardman plan. And then there was also a tour that Commissioner McWood arranged that we all went on, which was helpful. There was just no follow-up after that, in terms of like, what would happen and stuff. And I think the most, and yeah, I think everyone you talk to will have a different opinion on like what the right or the wrong thing to do is. I think the thing that struck me the most was on that tour, which the architect that the Wardman strategy team or the Ward 3 Housing Justice team had invited, the architect said it would cost the same amount of money to either tear the Wardman down and build a whole new building, or just to refurbish that old building. And to me, that was, and he did qualify it, which is, he said, well, yeah, but you would get a better product if you didn't tear it down. But of course, he also qualified everything he was saying by saying, we also don't know because we haven't even looked inside the building yet. But to me, that was like a little bit of, that was news to me. I did not know that tearing down buildings, and this is where Commissioner Paggett knows more because she works for a firm like that, like tearing down buildings and building them is cost the same as kind of, especially if you're trying to, I know for office buildings, I knew that was, I've heard at least, or like looked at statistics and seen that might have been true, but I didn't know it was also true for the hotel. But that to me was like the most, one of the most eye-opening things, I guess, from that tour.
Yeah, that isn't, I wouldn't have thought that, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
well, it depends.
And that was last year too. Like
some
that
are
was
easier than others too.
Again, I'm not an expert. I'm just saying like that was, yeah.
There's also the outgoing head of was it DHS, right? Polly Donaldson, who was on the tour with us, and she said that they just don't have the ability to run an old school 1970s style public housing facility. They have neither the staff, the budget, nor the expertise in doing something like that. And that type of housing has been, for the most part, phased out across the country.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've seen the model that So Others Might Eat has been using. They just opened their new housing facility in the Walter Reed Historic Campus.
Wow.
So they, in addition to having, thousands of units throughout this city that are, part of their program, they're now in the real estate game of building their own buildings, and some of that is funded by the DC government, various loans and stuff. And they're actually, they just submitted their application for a building in Woodley Park.
Oh, cool.
Yes. So, and that's in partnership with the Woodley House folks. So it's the potential of providing 23 units of like efficiency style units, and having, those support services for those folks coming to them rather than them having to go other places, which I think is essential. So, yeah.
Thanks. The only other thing I'll say is, I mean, and I'll speak from I don't want to put words in Commissioner Finley's or Commissioner Paggett's mouth, but like I'll say, like, I think the goal of Ward 3 housing justice is, something that I personally, and I think at a broader sense, our ANC really wants, is like, we want more affordable housing in Cleveland Park. Like, there's a parking lot behind my apartment building. I want like tons of affordable housing there. I wish when our library was being rebuilt, the government would have built tons of housing on top. I think there's so many opportunities here, beyond just the Wardman. Like, I feel like, it would have obviously, and the Wardman is still there too. Like, we're still going to advocate for tons of affordable housing there too. But there's so many opportunities here, that I feel like we should just be trying as much as we can for as many as we can. So, I think in that sense, like, at least if you're for housing justice, your goals should align, that like housing comes first. Like, it comes before anything. It comes before parking. It comes before, historic preservation. It comes before all of that stuff. So I'm hoping that this group, at least, and I haven't heard them speak on anything other than the Wardman, but I'm hoping that this group kind of puts a housing first approach and gets us like all this housing that we need.
Yeah.
And understanding that we can't let the perfect get in the way of the good. So.
Well, I am more what's it called, dreamy than Commissioner Paget. I'm okay going for the perfect, but I also don't, I never want to block the good. Let's just say that.
Right. But I'm a bit more realistic about some of these things.
I love we need the dreamy perspective
We'll definitely keep in touch about how we can help and get your next grant together and help you with some of these other, new avenues that you're taking.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me with you. It was nice to be able to hear some of your process too.
Yeah, thanks for coming. That's for the ideas. Thanks, Janelle. Thank you for organizing such a great meeting.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, have a good one. Bye.
Bye.